Appreciate you coming.
All right, I'm Alex, I'm an alcoholic. And thank you all for being here. I'm so glad that y'all are all here. And anyway, I'm an alcoholic and I'm sober, and I became sober in September of 2013. But that is not where I began. And I was born really far away in Mother Francis on June 26th, 1987. So, and I'm part of, I have an older brother, and I grew up in Tyler, and I've lived in Tyler all my life except for when I went to college. And then I went away for a little bit. And I went away, like I moved away. I didn't go to jail for a little bit, but
Wasn't mandatory.
Anyway, so I grew up, and I did not drink until I was like 6 years old. My dad gave me a sip of beer, and I really liked it. And then I did not get really drunk until I was 14, and I stole a bunch of gin from my parents. And I didn't know what gin tasted like. Well, it tastes horrible. It tastes absolutely horrible. And I didn't know that. And so I stole a bunch of gin from my parents. And then I went out with my friends, and all my friends knew that I was drunk, but evidently they didn't care. And I continued to get drunk all through high school, and then I started smoking pot then too. And anyway, so fast forward till my senior year, I got arrested for running into a fire hydrant and then backing up and just parking my car and going up in an apartment building and going upstairs and just watching them fix it. And then a few weeks later, I got a ticket in the mail that said I had a felony. And so that was such a shock to me. And so my parents evidently fixed that because like a few years went by or something and nothing came of that, and so the felony just disappeared. And so I'm so thankful for that. And I had some PIs here and there, and so off I went to college, but prior to college, the summer in between my senior year and my freshman year of college, I had gotten messed up and gotten really drunk and tried to drive back home from a lake house, and I got pulled over, and I had several different bags of marijuana, and I was really drunk, and so I had like 7 charges. And so I was arrested, and then I got bailed out, and so I had a blower in my car, and so I went off to college, and then college came around, and college was really fun. I didn't really attend classes, but college was really fun, and I got prescribed promethazine and codeine, which is also known as lean or scissor, and by the TCU doctor, and I took all of that at once, and with Sprite, and so I figured, that would get me, drunk or whatever, and so it did that. But then I tried to start my car the next day at like 5 p.m. and it wouldn't start. So I tried at like 7 p.m. and it wouldn't start. It wouldn't start for the whole next day. And so then I reported my probation office, and they were like, well, you'll have to take a drug test. And so I went and took the drug test, and they're like, well, you failed the drug test, and so now I have to go to jail. And so I went to jail for 24 days in Smith County, my second semester, my senior year, or my freshman year. And so I just didn't finish my second semester my freshman year. And so I ended up, Anyway, I did that, and I was off probation, thankfully. But then I got out of jail, and I was thankful to be out of jail. But, hold on. Then came my sophomore year, and which I just slept on. I entered the fraternity house, and that was just a party. And so every year in college was a party. I didn't actually go to that many classes, and so I don't know. Finally, I ended up moving out of the fraternity house, moving into a house with 8 guys, and I got a dog named Flo, who ended up getting drunk and high all the time. And then I moved out of that house and moved into a house by myself, which I got another DWI. And then I just kept on living my life, and then my super senior year, I just took a break from classes. I had a job as a waiter, but I didn't go to any more classes. So I didn't go to any more work. So I just was living off my couch. I didn't get up off my, I didn't, just went to the liquor store and went to my couch and just lived like that. And maybe fed my dog. And that was pretty much it. And then my brother came to my door, and because he continued to go to classes, and he went to the same school. And so he was like, you really need to get help. And so he convinced me to go to the Behavioral Health Center in Tyler, which was across from UT Tyler. And so I did that for like a weekend. And I thought that I was cured. I thought that it completely fixed me. And so, and then I drank the next week, so. Anyway, and so then I went to Starlight, which is in Kerrville or Center Point or somewhere like that. And so I went off there, and that was like a month-long program. And it was fun. It was really fun because it was really fun because it was my first rehab ever, and it was just like a bubble. It was a bubble, and I got to live there for a month, and I don't know, and then I left there, and I got to experience the real world feelings, and I drank immediately after, but I didn't tell anybody. And so I just claimed the same sobriety date over and over and over and over. And oh my gosh. Until I met somebody who ended up being my girlfriend at the time, and who turned out to be my fiance, or my ex-fiance. And then I stopped drinking. And I started being a waiter at some place, and I kept doing that for a little bit, and then I decided to go back to TCU and finish up there and stay sober and do 18 hours and just stay sober for the 18 hours, do a whole semester in 18 hours. And I got a 4.0 for that semester, and that's a hard thing to do for a senior level classes for 18 hours. So I did that, and then I graduated, and then we didn't know what to do with our lives. And so we went out to live at my family's lake house, and my brother asked us if we wanted to be landmen in Kansas. So we were like, yes, we do. Because that was just the dream for us, You make a lot of money as a landman. And so that's what we wanted to do. So we moved to Pratt, Kansas, which is in south central Kansas. So we moved there. And we did that for about 4 months. And then she just, we had been engaged for like 6 months, and then she just broke it off with me. And so I was using her as my sobriety tool. And when she broke it off with me, I just ran off and drank immediately. And I drank and I drank and I drank. And so my boss just gave me 2 weeks off. And so I was just like, heck yeah, all right, that's great. I used that 2 weeks to just get drunk. And so then I was called back in, had to go back to work, and so I just came into work just a little bit drunk. Just a little bit drunk, but the secretary in there knew. So I just came in there for like an hour, and then I left. And the secretary, I heard her call my boss and explain to him what had happened. And then I kind of figured out what had happened. And so he called me and explained that I was fired, and because I was an independent contractor, I didn't get any benefits or anything from being fired. So at that point, I stopped off at the liquor store. Then I kept on driving all night long, and I drove around the entire night until like 2 in the morning. And then I came back into Pratt, and I did not see a car stopped at a red light. It was a brand new red 4-door pickup truck. And I just crashed into it. And see, my vehicle had a grill guard on it. So it did not hurt my truck. It totaled his truck. And so I just got out of my car, and I was like, "Are you okay?" And then he was furious and had to be. He was like, "I am calling the cops." And I was like, "That's a good idea." And so, and the police officer who tried to, anyway, he arrested me, but he was very, very nice to me. He let me smoke a cigarette while I was in handcuffs before he put me in jail, which is a nice thing to do. Anyway, so I was in jail for the night, and then I bailed myself out, which I did not know that you could do, but evidently you can do that. So I bailed myself out, and then I was going to walk across the street to the liquor store, and my brother happened to just drive by. And so he just happened to drive by, and he was like, "Get in my truck, we're going to your house where your dad is," because he was waiting there for me. He came back from Tyler, Texas to my place. So we went there, and then he took me back to Tyler, or he took me back to actually Canton, where Sundown Ranch is. And you have to be like 12 to 24 there. Well, I was 24. So I was the oldest person there by like 4 years. And so I was there for 42 days, and until I had to go back to Kansas and go to jail. And so anyway, I spent some time at Sundown Ranch and collecting my thoughts, getting sober, and then I had to go back to jail. And I spent 2 days in jail for my third DWI, and then I had to go see the judge, and the judge said, "You can never return to Kansas." He gave me that order, and I was like, that is fine. I don't want to come back here. So I am not ever allowed to return to Kansas. And so we just left there and went back to Tyler, and then I moved into the townhouses, which are right outside of Holly Tree, if you know where they are. And so I moved into those, and then I got a girlfriend immediately. I don't know how that works. And so I got a girlfriend, and we dated for about 6 months. I tried to go and get my graduate's degree in psychology. I went to like maybe 2 classes, and I was just way too drunk. And I had a blower on my car, so I just took her car. But so anyway, I was just spending my time there drinking, basically. And that was when Tyler was dry, by the way. So you can only buy wine at the Keepersall Estate store in the French Quarter. And so anyway, so we spent about 6 months together, and then one day she just had to go. She was studying to be an esthetician, I think. But anyway, she had to run out to go do some stuff, and so I was coming down off of cocaine. I'd taken a bunch of pills. The weed that I'd smoked didn't work, and my dad had come over and poured out all of my vodka. And so I did not know what to do, and I was just outside of my mind. I was not myself. And so I loaded up my shotgun, and I went out to my garage, and I shot myself in the head. And it was I don't remember it, thank goodness. But yeah, and so let's see. And so I think my neighbors found me, and so anyway, I was taken to the hospital, and it went through my head, through my skull, and outside that part of my head. And I was in the hospital in the ICU for 2 months at ETMC, which is now UT Health. And it was just an amazing thing because I don't remember anything but the last week. I wasn't in a coma or anything. I just don't remember it. And so anyway, I was in the hospital, and I can't hear out of this ear, and I have a thing in my throat because where I could breathe properly. But now I'm fine, thankfully. Anyway, so I got to the hospital, and my parents took me home, and then my brother's, it happened on December 17th. I remember that. And then my brother's wedding was on April 20th. And so right after I was taken home, I walked to the store and bought some wine. Because what else do you do when you're an alcoholic? My parents thought that I was cured. Like, they thought that being shot or me shooting myself in the head would cure me. Because yeah. But no. And I didn't have a car or anything, so I just walked to the store. And anyway, my mom found all of my wine the day before my brother's wedding. And she was like, do not be drunk at your brother's wedding. And so I was like, I promise I won't. But I was really hungover. And so anyway, excuse me. So he had his wedding, and then like, a few weeks later, I just got the bright idea just to leave their house. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't give anybody any notice. I just left their house and went to a hotel and stayed there for a week. And that is the cruelest thing to do. Not to give my mom any notice. Like, oh my gosh. And then I would walk home. And that is amazing because, I don't know. And then I did that again in the future. And then my mom was like, you can either stay here and not drink, or you can get an apartment. But you can't just take some time off. And so I was like, okay, I'll just get an apartment because I don't want to stay here and not drink. So we found an apartment in September of 2013, and I just moved into the apartment, and that's when I just started drinking heavily. I mean, heavily. And I just realized that I could not live that way. I was going to die. I mean, I was going to die. And finally, I just called my dad, and I was like, you have to take me to the hospital. I mean, you have to take me to the hospital, and then take me to the BHC and get me in the outpatient program, because what I'm doing is just not working. And so he agreed. And so he got me in the outpatient program, and which is a 3-month program, and where you're outpatient, and you just drive up there and spend 3 hours a night there. And so at that point, at some point, I found my sponsor, and which was an amazing accomplishment because, you know, I had been going to meetings all along, like since 2009, and I had just, you know, I thought that sponsorship was a joke, basically. I thought it was for other people, but it just wasn't for me. But no, like I had to come to realize that I could not live the way I was living. So I found my sponsor, and well, he ended up saying, well, you have to finish your program before you can work your steps. And I was like, that's very smart. And so I finished the program, the 3-month program, and then we started working on our steps. And we met every Monday at Alpha for an hour. And it was awesome. It was really awesome. And I just I can't explain it. But anyway, I have worked all of my steps, and I'm so grateful for him and for y'all. I mean, it's just amazing thing to have happened because all of the promises have come true. I mean, I like, they would read the promises and I was like, yeah, whatever. Okay. But no, they absolutely do come true. And I can't even explain it. And I don't know. And now I have so many friends in the program, which I never fathomed before. You know, I would just show up here and I would show up late and leave early and show up drunk most of the time and, you know, and whatever. But now I come early and I leave late and I am so happy to be here. It thrills me to come to meetings, seriously. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Right.